Thank you, Courtney. And yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to all the guests on the call today. And thank you to BCMPHA for hosting this education session about gas absorption heat pumps and dual fuel rooftop unit offers from Fortis, BC. So my name is Matt Hoover. I'm a program specialist for conservation assistance and specifically social housing retrofit support program, which you'll learn more about today. So I'll guide you through the presentation and along with my colleagues who I'll introduce in a moment. So as well, I'd just like to do a quick land acknowledgement on our end too. So just want to recognize the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, specifically the Katzie, Kwantlen, and Semiahmoo First Nations. I'm calling in from Surrey today, so that would be some of the overlapping territories in this area. So I always like to kind of just provide a little kind of personal note, but I was just thinking about Mount Baker, which is out the window here, and it's such an interesting concept how these lands, obviously this border, this arbitrary sort of border didn't exist. So everybody would travel these lands and interact throughout that area and to the base of Mount Baker. So it really stands out. I was curious what names that mountain may have had. And apparently there were many. So I noticed one of the more common names was called Koma or Como Kulshan, which means apparently Great White Watcher or White Sentinel. And I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like Como 5 News, I'd always heard that, but I didn't realize the history or where that name came from. So I just wanted to acknowledge that as well. So the agenda today will have, oh my gosh, fire alarm has gone off here. Apologies, you guys. That is crazy timing. We're gonna have to exit the building. I hope this doesn't take too long, and we'll join again in a second.
Sounds good. Mel, are you able to step in for Matt there for a second?
Yeah. Can you pull up the slide
I
or should
will.
I?
I can just pull it up to share it.
Didn't really,
This is always one thing when things happen, they happen, hey?
this is incredible.
Talk amongst yourselves, folks, as we find the slides
I'm
here.
not really sure what Matt's
Well,
slides are based on,
what we can do,
but
Mel, is we can do your part. We'll
oh
start
yeah,
here, and
let's
then
do
Matt can
that.
come back and do his part.
Sure, sure. That'd be perfect. Courtney, do you mind navigating the slide
Not at all. I'm just pulling them up. We'll just take a
when you
second.
get it? Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd work. Thank you.
I'm wondering if we can also maybe we have hi everyone, other Fortis folks on the call, so maybe we could collectively
Yeah,
speak to Matt's slides as we go
Ariana,
through.
there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, however you want to do it, Ariana. Do you want to talk on the SHRP
Yeah, I could talk
program?
about the program, absolutely. Well,
And
of course
then and then
Mhm.
yeah, then I'll talk on the rebates of the gas absorption heat
Yeah.
pumps and the rooftop units.
Okay.
Perfect. This is what we get for talking about fires before. I think we primed it. We put bad ideas into the world.
I'm curious, is that happening at the Fortis BC HQ?
Yeah, he's in the office.
Oh,
Olivia's in Kelowna, and I'm working from home today, so.
lucky. Oh, there we
Picked a
go.
good day
I'm
to work
back
from
up.
home.
I live in an apartment building though, and the alarm goes off a lot in this building, so hopefully I don't get the same situation happening. But thank you for folks who've joined the call. We appreciate your time, and we're trying to, spread the word about the technologies that we have available. We're seeing good results just in general, so we recognize that they're fairly new in the market, or fairly new as an offer for Fortis. And so we figured that it's important to do more education on the opportunities these technologies offer.
There we go.
All right.
Thank you.
Without further ado.
Okay.
There we go. So Mel, did you want me to jump forward to your section
No,
or?
I could pick up. I can
Yeah,
Perfect.
Ariana can take over for on behalf of Matt.
Yeah.
Let's just back it up a bit, just
Sure.
for the intros. There we go.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is basically for those on the call with the members of BCMPHA. We will be speaking on the social housing retrofit support program. I'll give you a little bit background where Ariana will take over. And then we'll basically talk about those specific pathways and the technologies available to you if you so feel that this is something that would be the right fit for your particular premise / building. And then, of course, I'll give you some examples of where those technologies have been implemented and the varying rebates alongside with some of their measurement and verification. And then, of course, we'll have a Q&A to kick it off. Next slide, Courtney, please. So Matt, who unfortunately left the room, he's one of our program specialists under our Conservation and Energy Management department. And he helps vet the process for the social housing retrofit support program. And he reports to Ariana, who is our program manager, and she's also on the call. I am the key account manager. I basically work with organizations such as BCNPHA and BC Housing. Same with Ariana as the program manager. And my job really is to identify the opportunities working directly with yourself, the stakeholders, and just making sure that you are aware of the programs that Fortis BC has to offer so that your building or your organization isn't taking the full blunt of the capital cost upgrades. And this is where the rebates come into play. And of course, we have Olivia. She's also a program manager from our Conservation and Energy Management team for both commercial and industrial. And Mitch Moulton, he's also the program specialist for the Commercial Energy Management team for both commercial and industrial. Next slide. I think this will go over to you. Oh, there we go. This one. Or how about getting to know the people who's on the call? So I think that's what we wanted to get to see is for those on the call, maybe you can tell us a bit about, let's start off with Jerome, what your organization is and what you guys do.
Yeah, okay, well, it's maybe slightly, maybe not completely directly related to this call, but I'm with the BCIT and I'm a faculty member and I do some policy work in the School of Business. And my interest here is just to understand these rebate programs and looking at how kind of cost effective they are in terms of reducing emissions and in terms of saving energy. So, that I'd like to get, learn more about the rebate program and the verification and measurement of the savings and things like that. So
Perfect.
That's my point of view.
Jerome, you're on the right call. Thank you for the introduction. Maybe moving on to Katerina.
Hi, my name is Katerina. I'm with Entre Nous Femmes Housing Society. I'm the manager of property services. So I'm in charge of all day-to-day maintenance operations, retrofits, and capital planning. And we have several properties that are going to be undergoing deep energy retrofits, hopefully starting in the next couple of months. And we're doing full conversions. So we're doing one property is going to be 64 units of heat pumps, individual heat pumps. We're also going to be doing some buildings that are going to be centralized conversion systems. And our goal is obviously GHG reductions, higher efficiency, potentially electrification, but also going to more energy efficiency for gas consumption. So that's why I'm here today.
Excellent. Yeah, also good information for you coming up. Margaret?
Hi there. Sorry, sorry I'm late.
It's okay.
I assume this is an introduction.
Yeah, we just wanted to know what your organization is and what you guys do.
So I'm the colleague of Katerina who just spoke.
Okay.
My name is Margaret and I work for Entre Nous Femmes. I'm the Director of Housing and Property Services. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Sean and
Hi.
Thompson.
Yeah, and Justin's with me as well. We came to learn about Fortis BC's emergency fire drill response time. And no, just kidding. Margaret, you wouldn't get that joke, but it's pretty funny if you could have joined us from the beginning. So we're with Connective Support Society, Kamloops. I'm the Senior Manager of Building Infrastructure, and to my left, but your right, is Justin, and he's our Manager of Facilities and Maintenance Services. So we have a portfolio of 10 to 12 properties. We have some that are burning a lot of natural gas for boilers and hydronic heating. One of the reasons I'm here is because of this extreme pressure to electrify everything. But when you go to electrification, all the operating costs skyrocket because we're not getting the same. I love that Katarina is already nodding her head. Yeah, I feel like I feel your pain. Oh, it's good. I feel your pain. So we're not getting any of the money to have the operating costs go up, but we're getting money to install new electricity things. And the other thing that I know is beyond scope of, say, Matt's presentation, but just with this many Fortis people on the call, I can't let it go, is what are you guys forecasting for pricing of your product? Because everyone's saying electricity is going to be more expensive. But I don't really hear the same thing about natural gas. I hear that we have an abundance, it's easy to get out, that, you know, it's not like it's going to spike like electricity will if Teslas start coming to Kamloops, right? So anyway, we have a diverse learning takeaways that we're hoping to get out of here. We're actively got 2 deep energy retrofits that are on our horizon. If we can get funding for them, because as I said, that's always the big piece. And we have housing stock from 1965, I think, is
64.
Riverside. 64 is Riverside Gardens, up to 2022 with some brand new stuff in development. So, yeah. So anyway,
Good
that's us.
stuff. No, that's good. And those are great questions that we can most likely answer or help identify. And if we can't do it all on this call, we can definitely have a quick chat offline. If I haven't missed, oh, there's James. Welcome.
Hi, James Bork. I'm from AMA, Housing Condition Advisor. So I had some free time in my calendar, and I know that we work with the with Fortis and BC nonprofit. So yeah, I wanted just a little bit more learning for me.
Thank you. Thank you. I think there's a question. Katarina has her hand up.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to ask one quick question too. I would love to know if Fortis has plans to return the ECAP program with the idea of being able to replace the furnaces. So in 2023, at the end of 2023, start of 2024, they removed the furnace replacements for higher efficiency furnaces through the ECAP program. And I would love to know if there's plans in the future to have that return, have that still be an option that Fortis is going to be offering. You just, yeah, kind of around that.
Sure. I think we can have that answered by one of our program managers.
Yeah, I can speak to that.
Yeah, and Ariana can speak to that at the end.
Yeah.
But those are all great questions, and we are looking forward to answering all of them, hopefully on this call. If not, we will get back to you at a specific time frame. Okay. So thanks everyone for joining us, and let's get into the call. It is 10:18. The next slide, and I believe Ariana will take over Matt's presentation for the
Hi,
SHRP.
everyone. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've been with the social housing program for quite some time, since its inception in 2017. And it's been wonderful to work with the sector and support, you know, some of the most vulnerable folks in our population to have adequate housing. And we have done this in partnership with BC Nonprofit Housing Association and BC Housing and all of the folks that support the sector. It's a very, for me personally, gratifying work to be able to work with sector partners for being able to, you know, work in that intersection of housing and energy efficiency. So we're like, there's social dimensions to our work. And obviously there's an aspect of climate and environment, since we're saving energy and reducing emissions. A resilient housing sector is vitally important for, I think, you know, anywhere, any city in the world. And in Vancouver, British Columbia, and across the province, it's, you know, we're reminded every single day of just how important and the need for affordable housing. I don't think I need to spell it out for anyone on the call. I think we're all well aware of the housing crisis that exists. And one of the ways I think about this is there's many ways of addressing a housing crisis. Part of it is building new units and making it more available by having more stock. But another part is making it more affordable, making it more, like improving the quality of the social housing stock. And so through our energy retrofits and our partnerships, as we've mentioned, I think we're able to contribute to that. So that makes me very happy to be able to do that work. We are aligned with the provincial goal of reducing emissions by 80% by 2050. And it'll be interesting to see how the sector, whether the sector steps up to work towards those emission reduction targets. We are happy that you're here so that you think of us as a partner in helping you reach that goal of reducing emissions and hitting provincial targets. We are, so I'll kind of answer the ECAP question because it kind of fits in nicely. So the reason we're not able to, we no longer have furnaces is because we were mandated to no longer be able to do that through the BCUC. In other words, our regulator. And so the change to the demand side management regulation, that means that's the formal official regulatory speak for energy efficiency. Our work is guided by that, and we are no longer able to provide incentives for any technology that's less than 100% efficient. So that's why you no longer have furnaces in ECAP, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's what I can say about ECAP. Stay tuned, though. There's a lot of updates happening with ECAP this year, so stay tuned to what the new version 2.0 of ECAP will be looking like. So maybe that's all I can say, okay, at this point for that. Okay. Next slide, please. So yeah, we have a very big commitment to energy efficiency, to helping reduce emissions in the low-income and Indigenous sector. Over the course of our DSM plan between 2024 and 2027, we have earmarked $72.4 million specifically focused for these two segments. And we recognize that with the urgency of the issues with climate and the need to reduce emissions, the best thing to do is do it now. So it's better and more effective if you are able to tackle that retrofit project today or this year rather than 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. Not only do the costs increase because you're spending more on energy the more you delay it, there's more emissions going out into the atmosphere the more you delay it. And also the cost of labor, the cost of contractors, inflation in general is making everything more expensive. So we really think that there's the best opportunity, like the sooner you can do it, the better. And thinking energy efficiency first and foremost, because the best, most cost-effective way is that element of energy that you didn't use rather than pay it out. So we really try to promote the mindset of energy efficiency. Today, we're talking about some of the new technologies that we have available for the sector for commercial multi-unit residential buildings. And those are, as I mentioned, they have to be at least 100% efficient. We've had them in market now for about a year and a half or so, and we're seeing very good results. And so we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics. We've got some of the technical experts on the line that can answer those specific questions. But these technologies are proving to reduce quite significantly and performing quite well overall. And I'd miss if I'd say that it's not just about energy, it's also about the comfort and well-being of the residents that are living in your buildings. And that's incredibly important. We recognize that for housing providers, they pay a lot of attention to that, and we're well aware of that as well. And Matt is back. Hi, Matt.
Hello, folks.
Hi
Sorry
there.
about that. That's a fire drill,
No
which
problem.
they can't give you a heads up about, unfortunately.
Yeah. We were able to dive in. So if you want to take over, I'll pass it over to you. But just a little plug before I hand it back to Matt. For those of you doing deep energy retrofits, I would love to be able to have a follow-up conversation with you. I'm assuming you're doing an electrification pathway to deep energy retrofits. We at Fortis, and part of my job has expanded actually to move forward with a natural gas pathway. And so I'd love to be able to share with you some of, the opportunity there and where we're at with that. So anyways, we can follow up at the end of the session when we get through the slide deck, but over to Matt. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm sorry, it's just going to take me a second here to get my display sorted out again. The one is turned
I
off
could
and stuff.
continue
So
then.
if you don't mind, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So as I mentioned at the start of the call, the Social Housing Retrofit Support Program, it's been in market since 2017. And it was really conceptualized and designed and, actioned with the barriers that social housing providers face. And so we recognize that sometimes you need a little extra support, right, to do it. It's, sometimes the bandwidth on the team is low, or the knowledge around some of these technologies, and particularly the newer technologies. It's no longer boilers that we can incentivize. We've got things like gas absorption heat pumps. How do you wrap your head around that? So the program is designed first and foremost with an energy study that you get up to $8,000 of funding, and it is completely optional to do that. It's if it's helpful to you to build the business case around what the best option forward is. Is it to electrify, or is it to perhaps stay with gas and reduce emissions through the natural gas pathway? Or is it to do a scan and identify the variety of options available to you in a building so that you can begin to prioritize and align with your budget and what you've got in terms of your capital plan and assessments and renewals. So that energy study is available for you. And we have a curated list of consultants that can support you to do that. And the BCMPHA staff as well, or the AMA team, they're really well versed generally with the program because it's been in place for several years. So they will help to facilitate all of that for you. And to interpret the results of the energy study. Once you've identified the path that you want to pursue for saving energy, we also provide up to $11,000 of implementation support. So what this means is that you'll have an engineer who will, again, from that curated list, and it can be the same engineer that worked on your energy study if that works for you. But in essence, they will take care of, designing the work, going out into the market and identifying the contractors and running the RFP process for all of that, and implementing and actually installing the work and commissioning the technology and helping you wrap all of that up with all of the documentation that's required to submit to us so that you're able to get a rebate for this work. Okay, so that's up to $11,000, and it is also an optional component of the program. And then we have a whole host of gas and electric measures. The electric measures are in the Fortis BC electric territory in the interior. So if you are looking for electrical options, for electric energy efficiency, and you're in the BC hydro territory, that's a separate pathway. Unfortunately, it's not all in a single place anymore. But nonetheless, you are able to tap into the gas options across the province. If you do decide if you are pursuing a gas absorption heat pump, which is one of the technologies that's featured today, we have an additional $20,000 of funding that's available for a feasibility study. And what this feasibility study does is it pretty much goes out to your location and, does a really thorough analysis of, can a gas absorption heat pump be installed here? And if so, what would be the right one? So that it really helps to reduce the risk of going down this path, because you're having, a very focused study to determine what the best option for you is. Okay. Next slide, please. And Matt, feel free to chime in when you're ready.
It looks like he popped out, so it might still be you.
Okay, no problem. I'll continue. So this is a little bit of a recap of what we saw, but just to kind of point out that, there's the energy study, implementation support, and funding for all of this, but that you're also supported by the energy specialists that work at BCMPHA or any of the sector partners if you're with AMA or BC Housing, and the whole host of engineering consultants that are available from our curated list to support the sector.
All right, I can
Back to
take
you.
over again.
Thank you. No problem.
I don't have the ability now to have the second monitor because since the power outage, it seems to have conked out. So we'll just go with this, and whoever's doing the slides, I appreciate it.
That's me. I'll be your Vanna White. Just let me know
Oh, great.
when the next slide.
Thank you. Yeah, let's go to the next slide then, please. So in the social housing retrofit support program, we have many different measures which you can see on our website. So just to kind of summarize these in some of the main categories of the types of things that we support, the types of upgrades you can do to your building. This would be like building envelope, so upgrading the windows, siding, roofing, anything that improves the insulation of the building and improves the energy efficiency. So it really helps these buildings modernize and extend building end of life. Gas absorption heat pumps, which we're here for today, dual fuel rooftop units as well. Those are two of the newer measures that are high efficiency gas appliances that can substitute those previous lower efficiency things like boilers, hot water heaters as well. So in addition, controls and optimization and then heating system optimization, I'll sort of lump these together, but they're ways that we can help improve the functionality of the existing systems. So if buildings are staying with an existing boiler, for example, we have things like boiler tune-ups available, so we can help subsidize the tune-up costs to bring someone in to get those appliances working at their most efficient levels. Pipe insulation, so pipe wrap, pipe insulation, another good way to improve the existing systems and just get the heat where you need it without bleeding off heat in other areas. In the shared service territory, so Ariana, I imagine, mentioned in the places like the South Okanagan, we also provide electricity. So we have electric heat pumps, other electric measures such as lighting and more. But today we'll focus on gas absorption heat pumps, dual fuel rooftop units, and I'm going to hand this off to Mel now, who will tell you more about those.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, so this is now the core of our presentation when it comes to the rebates for the new technologies that we've adopted within Fortis BC. So you may have heard about this particular equipment. Many builders, developers, they need that support and clarity as it relates to energy requirements due to the varying energy step codes and zero carbon step code levels adopted by the various municipalities that you're in or your buildings are in. So this technology, such as the gas absorption heat pumps or the dual fuel rooftop units, they can provide viable solutions that can meet that reliability, the efficiency, sustainability goals in a really cost-effective manner. Next slide, please. I won't get too much into this diagram, but basically what it's showing is, like conventional heat pumps, the gas absorption heat pumps capture heat from the outdoor air, and then it transfers it indoors for space heating, domestic hot water, and or ventilation. So the gas absorption heat pumps, they use this gas to drive that heat transfer mechanism instead of electricity, and use less natural gas compared to conventional commercial water heaters and gas boilers, thus reducing the need for electric service upgrades. So using the gas to transfer the heat rather than directly heating the air or water, you are actually achieving energy efficiencies of more than 100%. So by operating that with also one of our campaigns or other, excuse me, renewable natural gases to help lower carbon gases such as RNG, you will then increase your efficiencies of more than 100%. The three main products or manufacturers of the GAP or gas absorption technology, the manufacturers that Fortis BC are accepting is Rober is one, and they're usually through JSA sales. Vicot is another manufacturer, and that's through Homey Building Solutions, through their availability through Homey Building Solutions. The third one is Annecy, and they're through Equipco Limited. Slide 13, please. So there are numerous reasons to consider a gas heat pump, and one of them is an alternative to electrical upgrades. And in some cases, it may be more cost effective. The units have zero global warming potential refrigerants. They can be seamlessly integrated into existing gas boilers and domestic hot water systems that you currently use. And therefore, you're achieving performances greater than 100% operating efficiencies with the gas technology. And like I said, they can run on renewable gas to further impact emission reductions. So it's really a plug and play for RNG. To help make that informed decision, as Ariana alluded to earlier in the slides, we offer up to $20,000 to cover that cost of conducting a feasibility study. You would select a consultant of your choice, but they must be on the approved Fortis BC list. And then upon completion of that study, we will reimburse your cost up to $20,000. So all we require is that invoice. The results, if they are not to your liking, or perhaps it's not part of your budget, and your business and perhaps your business needs or situations are changing, there's absolutely no obligation to proceed to the implementation, meaning we will still reimburse the feasibility study regardless of implementation. Next slide, please.
Mel, we just have a hand up here from John and Justin.
Yes, sure.
Thanks. And it had to do with your last slide where you thankfully identified 3 different providers of the technology. My question is regarding where they're made and if you feel that they are tariff susceptible with so few manufacturers.
I believe, well, everything is local. Well, they're not locally made here. Actually, I think I will ask Olivia if the manufacturers are local. We do have local representation. I'm just not familiar where they're being made, if they're in the US or not.
Yeah, great question. Rober's kind of our big one, and they're an Italian company. Manufacturing, I don't know exactly where they manufacture, but I don't think it's in the States. But yeah, they're an Italian-based company. The other 2 I don't know, so I can get back to you. But great questions. Yeah,
That's
we're
a
also
great
very-
question because we were told that some of our heat pumps for our retrofit are going to be European brand. And I had asked the same question. I said, well, what are my operations costs going to be if a European brand machine is going to be in there and to service it or for parts that might not be able to be sourced locally?
Yeah, it's really important. I've had this consultation with our new builds. Don't send me a spec sheet until you tell me the country of origin, because it just causes drama. And I have heard, Katarina, that some of those UK ones are kind of fun, or they're EU, I guess, are fun to service. But yeah.
Great questions. We'll get back to you guys on that. It's always, we'll have to get right to either JSA Sales, Homey Building Solutions, or Equipco Limited, and see how that affects our clients with the tariffs, etc. All right, so here is basically the rebate amounts as we were discussing. So with the GAP, or gas absorbing heat pumps, the total rebate will be up to 75% of the total project cost, and that is up to a maximum of $200,000 per project. Of course, this is or the $20,000 feasibility study is separate. Okay. So as mentioned earlier, these heat pumps, they'll use gas to transfer the heat from the air instead of directly heating the water or the space, and they can achieve efficiencies of up to 100%, even in cold climates. Additionally, they can operate on RNG, renewable natural gas, which can further help the building achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions while saving energy and operating costs. And that feasibility study will help identify the appropriate gas absorption heat pump and its space and structural requirements for the technology, and to cover the aspect of the design and the implementation, which helps with the price predictability as well. So you don't need to install the additional equipment with a gas absorption heat pump. However, to really help maximize your energy savings, it's best to think about how the building systems and the controls work together. So when you're pairing the heat pump with your existing high efficient boiler, hopefully you do have a high efficient boiler. If not, you probably have a standard boiler, or the water heater, it will help even out the heating load, optimizing performance and the efficiency. So using smart controls or DDC controls can help ensure the system's operating effectively based on that energy demand. Gas absorption heat pumps, they range price, the price range and the units themselves can start around, I'm hearing like 13 to, 20,000 per unit, depending on the manufacturer. Next slide, please. So this is where we actually put in 2 Robur gas absorption heat pumps, along with domestic hot water heating. And this was done at Jenny Petland Place. It is the Shaik Housing Society, and they obviously have operating agreements with BC Housing to provide low-income housing to singles, couples, families, seniors, and disabled individuals. This technology has been piloted and proven with staggering efficiencies. So that has been proven, and yeah, they're operating, and which has helped lower their gas invoices. Next slide, please. Another one, this has been installed in a multi-unit residential building. They're using 3 Robur gas absorption heat pumps for hydronic heating looping, and they've claimed up to $200,000. So almost the max. Slide 17, please. So the next technology I want to briefly go over is the new prescriptive rebate program that was recently launched, and it's called the dual fuel rooftop unit, RTUs, if you will. And they have the benefits of using both electric and gas systems, thus reducing the emissions while at the same time not placing greater demands on your electric systems. As more heating loads shift to electricity, your dual fuel systems may also use or will help us manage the electricity by lowering the demand on the electric system during those peak times, such as your cold climate weathers, those peak requirements. So the RTUs rebates offer help address installation and project costs for the implementation of these units. And these combined units, when they're packaged together with the gas-fired unit, obviously it will help reduce the requirements of the electric grid. So with that being said, your rebates will be as follows. For condensing efficiency, there's 50% total project costs of up to a maximum of $150,000 per installation or building. The condensing efficiency for the RTUs is rare. I think it's because of the availability of this particular rooftop unit. Most ones that we've seen have been the standard efficiency. They seem to be more in abundance and available for the client. Again, it is still 50% of total project cost, up to a maximum of $100,000 per install. Okay. The main difference between the dual fuel hybrid RTU from a conventional RTU is that the hybrid RTU is equipped with a heat pump instead of the air conditioner of conventional units using refrigerants. So during mild weather conditions, the heat pump provides heating to the building using electricity, but at lower temperatures, typically around freezing, that heat pump is turned off. It's got like a control system cut off, and the gas-fired section is switched on, still heating the building. You'll find these units working really well in colder climates up north, like Prince George, if you will. The type of equipment eliminates that need of electric upgrades, as I said, and the heat capacity is usually similar to the direct expansion of cooling. And those electric upgrades can be costly or have long lead times. So an additional benefit to increasing resiliency is it will help the electrical grid not get overloaded during an event such as a cold snap. And the final slide, please. So we installed a large amount of RTUs, total of 14 at the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation in Burnaby. So it's a nonprofit. and they are maximizing their rebates close to 100,000. No, sorry, $199,500. So they are almost maximizing $200,000 right there. And this is just got installed. We're in the final phase. For this month, we will have them all completed. We did this in 2 separate phases. We didn't want the building to get shut down in terms of heating capacity. So we did it in 2 separate stages, 7 in 1 month and then 7 the final month. But they are done, or they will be finally implemented by the end of, I think, mid-June. And the contractor is Broadway Refrigeration in Vancouver. And I'll hand it back to Matt.
Great, thank you, Mel. I see a hand up from Sean.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to stress what Mel said about the service for the electricity. Every time we've been asked to electrify a device or component, we've run into that challenge. Every time. We've had to do sub panels, we've had to core concrete, we've had to do a lot of creative things because it wasn't designed for this upgrade when it was built, right? Is the short answer. So I would really stress that you lean into that whenever you're doing presentations like this. It's one thing to say go electric. It's another way to get the damn electric into your building. And are you already full, all your panels and stuff? So I think you undersold how much of a challenge that can be. And I just think it's a good, I mean, I'm not on your payroll, but I think it's a good way to really bring your message home that it's not free to just go electric, like they say.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Sean, with that being said, how much of a, like, I guess, part of the total project cost is up to $100,000 for the RTUs? Where do you say would be a big portion of what percentage would it be required to, I guess, add more of the component of electric?
Yeah. So it's going to be facility specific if you need a new panel, because the cost goes way up if you need a new panel or if you have to upgrade your service. And the other thing I would say in my non-answer, it'll depend on what your nonprofit has negotiated for electric rates. So we've negotiated all the way down to $65 an hour. And we are incredibly thankful for that community support. Because if we had to pay market rates for our electric, it would be closer to 95 to 105 an hour. And so if your pump is 150, or if the total project's 150, man, it's tough to say because there's some variables, but I'm thinking between $10,000 and $25,000 will go just to the electric side, just trying to get your service going in the right direction.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Jerome, you have a
Yeah,
question?
on the dual fuel systems, do you have kind of a rule of thumb you use on what the usage is of each? Like, is it 70% electric, 30% gas, or some other rule of thumb?
I'm not I don't have the technical background on the equipment itself. Olivia, do you know, or would you know?
I can give you a general idea based on where your building is and the temperature, like the seasonal temperature of that location. So like climate zone 4, we do require a switchover temperature of +3. So you can give an idea of once it dips below +3, then the gas system will turn on. So you can kind of, estimate based on how often you dip there and what your, controls are set at when you're heating the building. And then if you're outside of climate zone 4, so any other climate zone in the province, it's -3 is when we switch over.
Okay.
So Jerome, we operate in Kamloops with our biggest natural gas bill facility. And I think I saw something on Fortis's invoice or website that said the average temperature in December was 1 degree. So if we had it set up to that 3, because I don't know, Olivia, if we're in that zone 4 or the other one you just said, but if it was set up at 3 degrees, then we would have been running natural gas an entire month. So it depends on your climate, where you are. And the other thing I've run into, Jerome, is I've asked installers to change the set point because we don't have a lot of operating money to work with. So the more gas we can use, the less the operating costs.
Yeah.
And they struggle like crazy because it seems to be like one of the hardwired settings that's like super non-tweakable, right? And I've got guys with laptops up there and they can't figure out how to do it. But yeah, it really, like Olivia said, depends where you're operating and your set.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
And we do have like requirements to keep the set points at those temperatures. So it cannot be higher than +3 and it cannot be any higher than -3 in the other climate zones. And the reason for that is, like we talked about before, we are bound by the DSM regulation. So we do have to ensure the system's operating at over 100% efficient in order to provide these incentives. And so if we're now, so yeah, the program requirement is to keep those set points no higher than those values. And again, to ensure that we are operating at over 100% efficient on the system as a whole.
I respect your answer, but I don't like your answer.
Yeah, it's a regulatory requirement. Otherwise we cannot incentivize this technology.
Yeah, we like Olivia said, we're mandated by the BC Utilities Commission, so they're the watchdog for our utility, and this is how they allowed the particular rebate to come into fruition as long as we're within those parameters.
Perfect. We don't have a ton of time left, and I think this is just excellent questions so far. This is a summary slide, so if anybody has any questions about the SHIRP program, please just reach out to me after. I've got a link for you. But why don't we skip this slide and then move along so I can quickly summarize. BCMPHA, these are our colleagues' excellent resources. These are the energy specialists and people that can help you conduct building condition assessments, as I'm sure you're already aware, capital planning, project management software, energy benchmarking, free energy audits, and retrofit coaching, as well as rebate and incentive support. So they're the folks that help you really identify things, identify which of our measures can be of assistance to you, or you can ask them for more information specifically about our measures, and they can reach out and make those connections. So next slide, please. So yeah, let's thank you very much for everybody joining the call. Thanks for your patience as well with that little interruption. And yeah, let's continue with question and answer. I just feel this is a valuable opportunity.
Did we answer everybody's questions so far, or if you have?
There's the overriding one about forecast of costs, but you've definitely answered everything I asked during the presentation. But yeah, once, for example, all the city buses and Kamloops, the move is to make them natural compressed gas, right? So there is going to be demand for the natural gas system as things happen. So, I mean, I know you work for the company, so it's really hard to separate the company answer from the, economic answer, whatever that is. But just what is your guys' 10-year, 20-year, or 30-year, whatever, medium, long-term pricing kind of grid or estimates?
What I could share with you, Sean, I'll get your information, is a link to our existing rate structure. It's hard to identify or predict what our rates will be forecasted to in the next, like you said, 5, 10, 20 years. But I can say, as we all know, that Fortis BC is the natural gas is 1/3 the cost of electricity. However, when you do install or not install, decide to go and add renewable natural gas, there is a premium. You can certainly add blends of 5, 10, 15, up to 100%. The premium, I believe, is like close to $8 a GJ additional, but that definitely helps reduce your greenhouse gas emissions. But yeah, depending on the rate of your building, whether you're rate 2 or above, they all have different set points of rates for the commodity itself is always going to be the same for everyone. Okay, So I think the commodity right now is like $2.03, somewhere around there per GJ. So Fortis BC, we're not in, we don't increase the cost of the commodity. What we get the commodity for through our provider, Enbridge, is what we pass that on to. So we don't mark up the commodity. So think of us as a delivery company. You're using Fortis BC's infrastructure to get the gas. And therefore, you'll have charges for the delivery of that particular commodity, and that will show up on your invoice. But the commodity itself is what we pay for. We just pass that on to the client. But I will send you the different rate structures that we have. It is available to the public on the Fortis BC website. Any other questions?
Can I just chime in, since there was a couple of mentions of the deep energy retrofits? I'm just going to share with you a slide in the chat here. And I'll be presenting this next week at Retrofit Canada in Toronto. Fortis BC has undergone 4 pilots, or pilots for commercial and residential buildings. The commercial buildings are 2 wood structured low rises, one of them of which is a social housing or affordable housing, which is the Manor House, the one on the left. And we also did 2 high-rise concrete buildings. We have completed the construction phase and are now into the early M&V stages with these multi-unit residential buildings. And what I'm sharing with you, just to be really clear, the energy savings and emissions reductions that are on the slide, those are from our detailed design engineering reports. In other words, when the engineers were designing the system, these are the estimates that they attributed to these projects, okay? We're at the measurement and verification stage of the pilots, and that will be an entire year of measurement and verification. However, we've had early results, and we're really looking forward to being able to share the final results when we're ready to do so, when we've got that full year. But I'm just putting that out there where you can see that we're ranging from, in the detailed design anyways, the estimates for energy savings, they are ranging from 51% to as high as 66% in energy savings. And emissions, GHG emissions reductions are even higher, ranging from 60% to 77%, okay? So these are really promising numbers. This is a natural gas pathway to deep energy retrofits that technically defined is a minimum of 50% savings on energy and emissions. So we're really happy to be able to be seeing really promising results and opportunity here, because for the reasons that some of you stated, not every single building can be electrified. There is an opportunity and a need for electrification, and then there's also a need for reducing emissions in buildings where it's not possible or it's very expensive to do it, and the costs, particularly I know in the social housing, affordable housing sector, are of paramount importance. And so this is something, we don't yet have a program, however, we are working to be able to bring that forward. Katarina, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I actually was really lucky to be able to tour the Manor property in North Vancouver while it is under construction. Yeah, and the one thing I did want to comment on, which has actually sparked our organization to ask this question for our deep energy retrofits. If I'm not mistaken, the Manor House energy retrofit, or the retrofit, was about 9 million or 8 or 9 million. That sparked the city to basically say the building is no longer in compliance and will require an additional $1 million investment to have a new sprinkler system put into the entire building, which was not identified in the studies during the retrofit design stage. And it was only kind of brought forward when they were, quite deep into the project.
Okay.
So when it was mentioned to us during the tour, it then sparked us to, ask those questions of our properties, because we have a property also in North Vancouver that's also going to be undergoing quite a deep energy retrofit. We're going to be putting in heat pumps for all the building and electrification for the entire property. Sean, we were asking the same questions. What are going to be our operating costs? Because that building is actually a seniors building. And so any new tenants moving in are going to be responsible for utilities. So right now we
Okay.
pay for utilities entirety.
I see.
But when new tenants move in, they're going to be paying for utilities. So we're going to try to split up the meters. But
Okay.
my point to this is that the bigger the project and the more you're investing, the more you're likely to actually find other problems that you didn't originally identify. For example, the sprinkler piping and the coding, right? So we now are asking our funders, PC Housing, and our government affiliates to be just very careful and ask these questions and be mindful and say, are we really making sure that everything is actually reviewed properly before we go ahead with the full retrofit?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to add
Thank you.
for
Yeah,
that.
and the reason for these pilots is exactly for that reason, like not only to test out the systems, but to understand like everything that comes along with it. What did we not anticipate that needs to be anticipated? And that's exactly what the purpose of the pilots are for. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And I wish you luck on your retrofit. If you guys have a pretty meaningful stock. And remember, your CEO was at the Manor House tour in November, and she talked
Yeah.
about some of that.
Yeah, I was with her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we were not able to attend the Retrofit Canada conference this year because it's in Toronto.
Right.
But we definitely would have participated. We went to last year's when it was in Vancouver.
Well, if you're curious about the natural gas pathway, please reach out. We are looking to, begin just conversation. It's a bit of a runway to get a program up and running, but nonetheless, anyone who's interested, we are interested in having conversations about that further. Thanks. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. This has been really good. And we're going to continue down this path of learning more because sometimes it feels like we're being railroaded into one solution. So I'm grateful that you've spent some time and money to try and make you guys a viable alternative.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. I'm also just seeing a quick question here in the chat from Jerome. And Jerome, I may have to take this one offline. I can type my email address here for you as well, if you don't mind sending me a quick email.
Sure, that's fine.
Perfect. And I'll get a contact for you. That's not something I know off the top of my head,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
okay, no, fair enough.
Thanks.
And
Would
Sean,
would this be, oh, sorry, go ahead, Mel.
I was just going to say, sorry, Sean, if I just typed in my email address as well, and just shoot me an email and I'll be happy to send you the rate structure for Fortis BC.
Thank you.
Great. Well, yeah. I want to say thank you so much to all the guests and the excellent questions too. That was just great. And yeah, we will be in touch. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Courtney.
Stay hydrated.